Right, welcome to this call. Today we're going to cover the first 7 to 10 days of your partnership with Zinzino and us as your upline. And what I'm going to cover is really the very basics, because we've got some foundations to lay in order to begin to build the organization, your organization above it. There's some fundamental stuff you need to be aware of because some of it's time dated. So let me just share my screen with you, because I've got this on a little PowerPoint that I want to use to give it structure. So first of all, welcome, Zinzino. This is the first part of the change that I hope you're looking for. I'm going to cover that in a little detail because I'm guessing at the moment that you are an ambitious person who wants to really progress this as a business. And there are some really actually fairly simple but key things to understand, both in terms of some detail, but also some goals that we need to set for this next 30 to 60 days. And I'm going to cover that within this, but I'm going to keep this as simple as possible for a very simple reason for myself. And that is that it tests what you will do, how you get started. We work together on a simple enough level that it's not complicated and the actions are really straightforward. So let me just begin that process by taking you through your first 7 days. So first of all, let's look. You made a decision. You decided to join us, which is great. We're delighted to have you. And it's my job, or part of my job, to help you become as successful as you want to be. Doing that, really, I reckon the first week's the most important part of your career with us, because I'm going to ask you to do some things that you might not feel entirely comfortable with, but this is the way the business actually starts to work. So first of all, you've got excited by this, so much so you decided to buy a package. You've joined us as a partner. Now that comes with a certain amount of commitment. There's a commitment on our side to help you to get out of this whatever you want. And there's a commitment on your side to working with us in order to help you to make that happen. And there are certain steps that we need to take together in order to make it, first of all, begin to make it happen, and secondly, to give you the confidence and understanding of the reasons why you need to do it this way, and then the practical steps to actually bring it in, bring this first set of results about. So now is the time for action, and the real question here is, so how do you expand your business? Well, first of all, let's talk about the very basics. You need, of course, your enthusiasm and your excitement, and I hope you are. Because that's going to carry you through, because there are always challenges in any new business and certain amounts of doubt and uncertainty about what to do. And that's part of my job here, and Sue's job, and our upline of sponsorship as well is all here to help you to become successful. Because by doing that, your success becomes part of our success. And what we want are people to succeed. This is not a business where we bring people in with a package and then forget you, let you get on with it on your own. The whole essence of what we do is to nurture, mentor, train, and guide you to do the things that are needed in order to actually become successful with this. So first things first, Zinzino has the Express Start booklet. This is a little Bible, if you like. It's the manual within which is the blueprint for building an organization. We can download that from the Zinzino website, which we can do from your own back office now that you're a partner, simply by going into the files section of the back office. So clearly you've got my phone number. I'm going to give you phone numbers. I'll send you an email with some phone numbers on it, which are related to our upline and the line of sponsorship. So if I, for some reason, am not available, then you'll be able to get help from someone who is. And this is a key thing. It's your willingness to share your contacts, because every network is fundamentally built upon the principle of personal referral. You know people, and some of those people I'm sure are running through your mind because you're thinking, these guys would be great at this. I'm not sure about them. And those kinds of judgments are going on in your mind about the people you do know already. I'm going to ask you to put that to one side, because we're not going to judge what people will do. We're not really going to judge what people are going to think about what we show them. All we're going to do is expose the business and the opportunity and the product and what it does to them we're going to do it in such a way as to allow them to decide whether there's anything there for them or not, much as we did with you. And the reason why we do it that way is very simply that we take advantage of the relationship you have with your connections, because they know, like, and trust you because you have an existing relationship with them. They don't, they know who you are. They know the kind of person you are. They know sort of values you have. You resonate with theirs because they're in your peer group and you have influence together. So that we don't have any of that relationship building necessary. And this is the key to beginning to build an organization. So it's your willingness to share what we have on offer with those people. So lastly is to be teachable. What I really mean by that is, in this next 7 to 10 days, please do as you're told, because this bit is really key to setting the scene for the future. If you do this bit and do it right, work with me to make it right. First of all, it's simple. Secondly, it's pretty easy because a lot of this is you're going to be observing what's going on. I'm going to be doing quite a lot of the work here in order to help you maximize the potential in your group of contacts. So what we're going to achieve by this is me helping you to understand firstly what needs to be done, and secondly, learn how to do this. Because ultimately, by knowing this, you'll be able to do this with your own people. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to sort of abandon you to that until you're comfortable and we've worked our way through each step so that you know exactly what to do. So let's make the commitment. You and I'll work with you. You and I work together to work our way through your connections that will expose our business and our product to them in ways which will get answers about whether they're interested or wishing to become a partner or not. That's really the key of what we're trying to do here. So I'm asking you to make a commitment to your dream, because your dream, the why, the thing that's motivating you, that itch that's saying, I really want some change in my life. I'm not going to get it from what I'm doing right now. That itch is the one we're going to scratch, but we've got to set the scene by the way we do that. So first of all, let's talk about some goals. Excuse me. And really about why you joined, because why you decided to take this path. Because this is a relatively straightforward thing to get into, as you know. It's not an expensive business potential opportunity at all. It's not like buying a McDonald's franchise where you need, I don't know, these days, probably north of £1 million to make it happen. And a lot of commitment, and effectively you buy yourself a job in the short term. This is a very low cost, very, very low risk business potential. And but it is a massive potential, because it's certainly in Zinzino's case, what's happening here is it's in this growth phase going around the world. So the people who are in it now, beginning to build businesses now, are going to end up with literally global businesses as it expands across the globe. India and China are coming on board very shortly. 3 billion new potential customers. So the opportunity is absolutely massive. But all of that's driven by the reason why you decided to become involved. So what I want you to just think about for a little bit is, the reasons why these goals are important. Goals and dreams give us inspiration. It's pushing, it's pulling towards, it's both actually. It's the push and the pull towards something that we'd like, we want, we're prepared to do things to get. And it's having that movement towards it in a way which ultimately brings it about. And these goals help us to keep focused on the quest for success. And when we have challenges, which everybody does, because nothing's ever really smooth, you're bound to run up against problems over time. And the why is the most important bit to hold on to in terms of the reasons why you're doing what you are. And of course, goals give us a destination. This is a stake in the ground. And they're often there as a point in time that brings about, a firm date in which to try and achieve it. Goals are the fuel to drive the Zinzino vehicle, your goals. Now, I'm going to help you with those, because there are levels to reach within the way the plan works, the compensation plan works, but you've got to go through each one. And everybody starts right at zero, and so that's where we are at the moment. Now we're going to build the platform that will take you to whatever height you wish. So goals are dreams with a date set on them. So we're going to set some dates, and you're going to see that there are some fundamental dates within the next 60 days that are really important, because Zinzino sets those as part of your business development. Most people know what they would like to do, but they actually don't have a plan to do it. We're not taught how to do this at school. It's not natural for us, having been educated in the way to do this as kids, because we generally don't think like that. We tend to end up doing what people tend to end up doing. I'm certainly, you're not, I'm not, but people tend to end up doing what Bob Proctor, who's one of the great personal development coaches around the world, it was something he said always stuck in my mind, where he was doing a course on personal development. He said, you know, most people tiptoe through life hoping they make it safely to death. And I couldn't think of anything worse than doing that, because in effect they're allowing their destiny to be dictated by their circumstances, rather than creating the circumstances under which their destiny becomes their choice. So that's what we're doing here. We're going to be building a future based upon a set of principles and actions that will deliver the results, as long as you're doing the work to make that happen. So your goals have got to be clearly defined, affirmed regularly, and kept out in front of you. So that's what we're going to do in a minute in terms of the financial side of what Zinzino sets before you in regard to the way we need to actually start to progress. And of course, all successful people are big dreamers, but they're then actors. They take action guided by the plan, measuring the daily activity in order to create the speed and the direction of where they're actually going. So let me just ask you to revisit the reason why you joined. You see, one of these reasons here is most likely the primary one. You know, there may be several that actually resonate with you, in which case we're in a very fertile field if that is the case. You know, and it might be financial independence. It might just be some extra income. You know, an awful lot of people join networks because they're looking to make some extra money rather than to turn it into something that can be a life-changing business opportunity. But you know what happens when that little bit of extra comes along? As the organization begins to build, then the scale of it grows very often without your input. And I'll explain how in a minute. And that's a consequence of that, of course, is that your income increases whether you're active or not. And that's the goal that a lot of people have got, is that, you know, they want to create that passive income. It's like the writer or the songwriter who's written something they've only written it once, but every time a book's sold or a song is sung or played by someone else, they get a royalty for doing that. That's a passive income, and that's exactly what we can end up with a successfully built network. So one of these is probably the principal reason you joined, and it may be added to by some others. And of course, I'd ask you, which is your number one priority, of course, because I want you to hold on to this thinking as the challenges happen, which they will. Why have you chosen that one? And really, why is it important? You know, because it's on one side of the equation, it's the importance of it, because it's the desire it. And on the other side of the equation, it's the fear of the loss of not doing it. So you've got this kind of push and pull going on in terms of using this motivator as the reason why you overcome the challenges that you will have. And of course, does it worry you if you don't have it? Because it's like another personal development coach I've worked with very closely, who was Bob Proctor's friend and business partner, John Canary. And John always says, well, you know, there are only two real pains to worry about. One is the pain of discipline, doing the work, being organized about doing the work. The other pain is the pain of regret and the looking back on the opportunities that we had and our failure to grasp them at the time. You know, and that is much better to have the pain of the discipline, which builds something that ultimately pays, regardless of whether you're working or not. So I'd encourage you to keep hold of that thought about why you joined. So let's come back to this very first action. Write the list. In the memory jogger, which you can download as we've talked about, on page 23 in the book is some guidance about prompting your memory in relation to the kind of people that you're likely to know. And there's a whole range of occupations that will do, oh, Fred does that and Joe does this and so on. So it's there just to help you do it. And I want you to do this on the basis of, everyone you know. This is a memory dump. That's all that it is right now. We're not looking to judge anyone at this moment in time. It's not our choice to do. It's not our job to do that. It's their choice to decide. It's not our job to decide for them. So don't discriminate. Like I say, this is just a memory dump. We'll then go through them and decide who we're approaching first, because our first 10 to 20 days is a key time to get the key players in. Excuse me. The most important task of all, share your list with me. And this is about going through it so we can isolate who we're going to connect with and when we're going to do it. We're going to fill the diary. And we're going to fill the diary for some very practical reasons. And of course, the main reason for doing that and then connecting with all these people is early success. So that you see that it works, we prove it does, other than what you know already from the thousands of people who are already involved. And that your early success, then we can begin to translate into a continuum of action. So first 24 to 48 hours, this is a really key thing. And I'm going to push you hard on this because it's one of the points at which a lot of people fall down. They don't actually do this job very well. And the less people you have on your list, or rather the fewer people you have on your list, the less successful we're likely to be. And so we need to dump as much as possible. We're going to plan, as I say, who we're going to contact and when. And here, this is the real essence. If you learn this lesson well, it forms the basis of what you will teach your partners and in turn theirs. That's the art of duplication. Because if those skills are being passed on, encouraged and worked on, and that process continues, then your business continues, and without the need for your effort. So here's the simplicity of what we do in this first few days. We're not having to learn all of the ins and outs of the product. You don't need to know anything about the way the compensation plan works, other than what I'm going to show you in a moment. And then as long as you've got the concept, that's enough. We're not looking at the detail. You don't need to know it. All you have to be able to do in this early stage, as I've said a couple of times now, is make the list, share it with me, and be willing to work to connect with those people to actually make some presentations that will take us to the point where they're saying, this is interesting, I'd like to know more. Yeah, I could see this, I'd like to get involved. Or no, it's not for me. It doesn't matter what the result is. What matters is we do enough of them to achieve the goals that we're going to set for ourselves in a moment. So this is the power that we're looking for, the leverage we're looking for. You see, the compensation plan, the Zinzino compensation plan, asks you to do certain things in a certain amount of time as a new partner. And that translates to 4 customers and 4 partners. And those partners are the 2 on each side of the business. And that opens up the compensation plan to pretty much every reward there is, the potential for every reward there is. And the goal here should be we should achieve that within the first 7 to 10 days. So how are we actually going to do that? Well, let's look at this over the next 30 to 60 days, because there are 2 key numbers. Number 1, we're going to work with the upline, me and Sue, and our sponsor, Dave, and his sponsor, Marco, and on upline as far as we need to go. The strength of our team is actually very special here in the UK. In a very short period of time, it's grown enormously quickly. And that's because the skills that there are available within it are all there to help you succeed in whatever way you want to. It's just a question of tapping into it and taking advantage of this early enthusiasm you've got and the focus you have on creating this early stage success. So we're going to work together. We're going to be using the Express Start booklet because that's the blueprint. We're going to find our 4 customers. Those 4 customers will take you to what's called the Smart Bronze position. And I'll explain that in a little more detail in a moment. Other than to say just at this moment that by doing that, then you pick up a 5% mental bonus, which can be doubled to 10%. And I won't go into the detail of that because that's post 4 customers. However, we do have to get those first 4 customers, and to do that within a 30-day period in order to qualify for that mentor bonus. You don't manage it in the first 30 days. then you don't get the bonus. And here's a key point. This comes about relatively straightforwardly on the basis of the list, your list, the sharing of that and our activity together, connecting with it in a way which will generate results. Some of those people are going to become customers. They absolutely will, because we know from all the testing that Zinzino has done, 95% plus of people are out of balance when it comes to omega-3, omega-6. Consequently, 19 out of 20 people that you talk to are going to be out of balance, and it's only a question of conveying that in the right way for us to get some customers out of 19 out of every 20 that you know. So we can get those 4 customers easily enough. Second thing is 4 partners. As I said, it opens up both sides of the plan. And once we've cracked those, we're actually going to build up to 10 customers to achieve what's called X-Team Express. We need to do that within the 60 days to earn the enrollment credit bonus. Same challenge. We don't hit the 10 customers. The enrollment credit bonus doesn't actually then occur until much later on. And there's a lot more work involved. So, of course, that impacts on your pocket. So this first 30 and 60 days is a really important period. This is the time to use us, to really work with us to get you to these points and learn the lessons of what that means. Understand how the process works, because all of these things are a process. Understand how this process works so that you in turn can do the same thing with your own people. So let me go on to the next. So we looked then in kind of parallel with that, we can start learning about the product and complete the checklist in the beginning of the Express Start book. So let me talk about Smart Bronze, a bit more detail, a bit more flesh on this bone. By achieving Smart Bronze, you actually start to make money, of course. There's a 10% cash bonus for doing it, £52. And of course, that then translates into your product being free. So then you won't pay for your product in your second month. It also reinforces the fact that this business works, because if you can get 4 customers, then there's success, there's a profit too, or there's a profit in the activity of creating it, beginning to pay you back for your commitment through your package. And there's a £90 Smart Bronze bonus, as long as this is done in the first 30 days. Now, again, I emphasize this is not you doing it on your own. We're not saying, write your list up, talk to those people, get 4 customers. That's not what we're saying. What's being said here is very simple. Write your list up, share it with me. We go to work together to create those first 4 customers. And consequently, we then help those 4 customers to be exposed to the business potential and so on. And so it begins to build. We start to build a connection upon connection, and ultimately there starts to become a group activity going on as well. So that's Smart Bronze. Now let's talk about Silver, Fast Silver. This is where we're looking for partners. And you'll see here next to the words Fast Silver, you've got 375 credits. If this is not done within the first 30 days, then actually the Fast Silver credits requirement doubles to 750. So here's another really good reason for going Fast Silver in your first 30 days, because otherwise you're doubling the amount of work you have to do in order to achieve the same level. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And what's the barrier to this? Well, not sharing your list with me in a way which means we can work together on it. So it's all again about this sense of urgency about creating your list, sharing that with us, agreeing how we're going to connect with these people, filling the diary with conversations to make presentations about the product and the opportunity. That in essence is our entire business. That's it. That's what we do. Now you can add complication to it, but that is the simplicity of it. That's all we actually really do here. So when we create these 4 partners, then what we've got here is it unlocks ECB, the enrollment credit bonus, as I mentioned earlier, and it's £225 in bonus. So now we're adding a bit more to it, beginning to mitigate the cost, the investment that you made in terms of your package. Very quickly you can have your package price back, and that's I don't know a McDonald's franchise that would give you that back within under 2 or 3 years, let alone within maybe 1 or 2 months, which is what we're really talking about here. And then the third step, and that's all I'm going to talk about today, is to upscale to 10 customers. And that's because we get the X-Team Express bonus. The ECB is complete. £78 extra, so now we've earned several bonuses, 52, 225, and 78. And we've got to achieve the X-Team Express within 60 days. Well, that's relatively straightforward now, because we're going to be talking to, this is going to become much slicker the more we do it. So as you and I work together on producing these results, you're going to become more and more and more confident. Eventually, you're going to turn around and say, it's okay, Nigel, get out of the way. I can do this, because you'll have learned the system well enough to know a couple of things. One is you don't talk too much. And that is, you're not trying to sell to these people over the phone. All you're really doing is connecting with them in a way which allows us to do a presentation. That way you get duplication, because the presentations are always the same. And that means it's consistent, the messaging's consistent, the results are more consistent because everybody's seeing the same message. You get a synergy development being developed by doing it that way. So this is our first 7 to 10 days. This is what we're going to do. This is, by the way, summarized. You need to get on Facebook and join the One Mondo Global Facebook page, because that has this summary in the back office. I'll send this to you anyway, so you'll have it. But essentially, this summarizes what I've talked about here. But I re-emphasize one key point, and that is your list is your goldmine. It's the start point for the kickstart point for your business development. It will, out of there, it will form your initial partnerships and your initial customers, which will take us into areas where they know people who know people who know people who know people, and so on. It's that constant rollover of referral business that we effectively create, ultimately going forward. And you can build a global organization simply on the back of the people that you already know, and by connecting with those people in the right way. So that's our first 7 days. And of course, what we're looking to do with all of this is just repeat it, duplicate it, and repeat it. Repeat, duplicate, repeat. That's it. And as long as we're doing that with new partners, where they're repeating and duplicating, we're teaching and training them to do the same thing, then that repetition starts to take on a life of its own. And there'll come a point at which that residual that I talked about, that sort of the income that you generate as a consequence of creating a song or writing a book, that royalty income, that starts to take on a life of its own. Because if you've got 100 or so people, all of whom are doing it for themselves within your organization, if you take a day off, your income doesn't stop. And that takes a bit of time to create, but once you create it effectively, if one of the things on the list where you were looking at was thinking, I'd really like to retire, then ultimately you could do that without losing your income. We'll talk about that in more detail on another one of these. But initially, I just ask you to go back to the key point here, write that list up, page 23 in the Express Start booklet. And then we need to talk again within 24 to 48 hours to start going through that. So I'm going to leave you to get on with it. So thanks a lot. Speak later. Bye.